potentially. There will be a question and answer session at the end, along with our next actions. If you could mute your phone if you're not speaking, just so we can keep the background noise to a minimum. And finally, we do record all visual webcasts, so there will be a link and other information sent after the event, which you'll be able to maybe forward on to any other colleagues that couldn't join, or review the content of this webcast at your own leisure. So that's that. So if you can just bear with me, I will just step you through Risual and just position us as an organisation before we get into the main content of this morning. So in essence, Risual is a pure Microsoft services company, 100% focused on Microsoft, and potentially one of the biggest pure Microsoft practices in the UK. We're over 110 strong now, all technical throughout. We don't supply product or licensing, although we do give advice on what is the requirements for a project. And fundamentally, we are one of the main value from Risual is working in the education sector. Is we try and drive as much value from existing campus agreements that a college or a university may have. It's quite common that over time a campus agreement will evolve, and potentially a lot of our customers don't really realise all the value, the full value that they have in a campus agreement, and how they can leverage that to not only reduce costs but also to help address the objectives of the sector and what they're aiming to achieve. We are a tier 1 platform partner, and I'll come on to what that means in the next slide, but highlighting some of the areas on that. We are a tier 1 managed service for Office 365 and Link Voice. Interestingly, we've had a lot of success in Link and Link Voice in the education sector in recent times. Again, maybe that's a subject for another time, but that whole agility and manageability and integration of telephony in with a Microsoft platform is another really quite an attractive proposition for education these days, but maybe for another time. We were pleased to be UK Partner of the Year finalists 2012 and 2013. So what that means is we've come within the top 5 of the many thousands of Microsoft partners out there. So it gives you an understanding of the capability that Risual has with Microsoft and deploying Microsoft technologies. So finally, I mentioned before being a tier 1 platform partner, and this starts to show the value of that and what that means. This is Risual on a page. This shows the visual structure of the organization. So in essence, we are split into 2 divisions. We have consulting and managed services. I will touch on managed services later on in the webcast, but what that means is that we are supporting all the technologies that we implement, and also some legacy Microsoft technologies that you have. Looks like the build's moving me on there. Just trying to stop that happening. The other side of the business is our consulting side, and this is the part of the that we'll be focusing on today. We're split into 2 in consulting. We have business consulting, which manages the more transformation, the more strategic engagements that we have in colleges and universities, which again I'll touch on in the next slide. And then finally, under technical, this is what we mean by a tier 1 platform partner. Risual is one of few in the UK that has such a wide coverage across the whole of the Microsoft stack. What this means, what the value is to you as a customer, is that you gain large degrees of integration within your Microsoft environment. As we know, Microsoft is a wide platform. It's there to integrate within each other. CRM is a major example of that, what I'm sure we'll touch upon today. CRM and Dynamics is not just a platform in itself. It should integrate in with the rest of an IT platform to gain that productivity and that collaboration gain that you want from, not just the features of CRM, but how it integrates with the rest of your platform. So just briefly, if I touch upon this, so business productivity is fundamentally around SharePoint and Office 365. We have business intelligence skills in there as well, and SQL. UC messaging, that is a team focused purely on telephony with Link and Link Voice, and on-premise Exchange, as well as Office 365 skills are in there as well. A lot of the work we've done is in Office 365 for education, for email to start off with, but that subject is widening every day. Finally, next, systems management. That is probably our biggest practice. That is the infrastructure layer around Server 2012, the hypervisor, and the whole systems management of the environment. Again, relevant for CRM. And identity and access is the relationship with the cloud, and that whole hybrid public cloud conversation. And then finally, the application development, which is where we're focusing on today, which is fundamentally focused on Dynamics as a platform to develop these capabilities we have. So that's visual as a summary. So we mentioned transformation, and we mentioned the business group. So all of those different technologies and capabilities that Visual have fundamentally consolidate down into three main conversation areas, and very relevant in the education sector. So we talk in the language of three different areas. So we're talking about engagement. We're talking about that whole digital workspace, that whole collaboration layer. Either with the college, it can be either around staff, getting staff to be more connected and collaborate more and share information more, and also surfacing that data into a business intelligence facility for the senior management team to make serious and real-time decisions on the future of a college or university. Next, we're talking about end-user computing, which potentially is around the student experience, how you get students more connected, and also how you potentially introduce an agile policy for staff. We know estates is a subject that is relevant for the education sector, how you make a better efficient use of estates, and also allow staff members to become more agile and more flexible in where they work and when they work. And that end-user computing transformation addresses that. And then finally, we have the optimized service vision, which is around enhancing the back office infrastructure that enables the connected business and the end-user computing policy. We're talking about enhancing and utilizing cloud services like Microsoft Azure to look at new data center strategies for a college or university, and using Azure for consuming services in a different way. So happy to have these conversations with you at another time about how we drive transformation in the education sector. So I think that's visual as a summary. I think hopefully that positions us as an organization. I think what we'll do now then, I think we'll get into the main content of this webcast and why we're here this morning, and talk around dynamics in the education sector. So I think without further ado, I think I hand over to Richard now. Do I, Richard? Is that over to you?
Yeah, thanks very much, Mark, and good morning to everyone on the call. I'm just going to take over presentation on these slides, so hopefully you'll see this. Okay, fantastic. So just a bit of introduction to myself. So I work at Microsoft at Thames Valley Park in Reading as what's known as a TSS, or Technology Solutions Specialist, for the public sector, and really focusing on the education market. So my role here is to understand the technology, but really start to look at how that applies into each of these industry types, and have that engagement with prospective clients, working alongside Visual to obviously look at how that can be effectively deployed within each institution. So I'm not going to labour too much this morning. I want to obviously get you guys through to a point where you're actually able to see some of this technology, and I've seen part of the demo that's already been prepared and that Neil will walk us through. But if I just provide a little bit of an overview as to where Microsoft are today and what our strategy is moving forward. So on the 4th of February last year, Satya was announced as our CEO at Microsoft, and he's really sort of given us a much better strategic vision and direction, and it's all about this modern workplace. The mantra now is cloud first, mobile first, and really that's looking at how we reinvent productivity, how we put in place those tools, those services across any device, access it absolutely anywhere, and really get the most out of the people that we employ, that are expensive to employ. We need to make sure that these solutions as well are going to adapt to the ways in which you work moving forward as well. So we need to make sure this is all scalable and it's all going to be customizable as you move through the next few years. So we live in a world now where there are more devices on the planet than there are human beings. It's quite a scary place to be if you look at it that way. Anyone watching sci-fi films will probably think, are we suddenly going to have robots cooking us breakfast and all of those types of things? That might be a couple of years off. Maybe that's in another building here at Reading where that's being worked on. But what's happening is that we're collecting data at a rate that is really, really difficult to manage. In fact, it's nigh on impossible to be able to make sense of all of this. And that's actually creating a lot of changes, not only in our work lives, but in our personal lives. We're connected to all of these devices. We're constantly networking. The boundaries of this sort of 9 to 5 has all been blurred. And so we need to make sure that we're keeping ahead of the game there. So what is this data explosion? What does that look like? How can we represent that? When in 2006 we had 0.16 zettabytes of data. I didn't know what a zettabyte was when I first looked at this presentation. It's 1 billion terabytes of data, which I think is a lot of emails. It might be a few Twitter threads, I don't know. But by 2020, we're going to have 44 zettabytes of data. That's absolutely vast. I don't think that Microsoft or none of us could actually process that amount of information and make sense of it. So we need to get really, really smart about what we're focusing in on, where we're actually spending our time, and what's important out of that amass of data and information that's coming through. So the world itself is sort of this giant network. As I say, everyone's sort of plugged into their devices. We're all mobile. We're using Facebook. We're using Twitter. We're writing blogs. We're connected, and that's actually a really powerful voice in the retail world, and that's sort of awoken this need to look at the online market, provide internet shopping. It's looking at, how do you make sure that you're not getting that negative feedback, which is really impacting your profits. So the world outside is fully connected. It's when we walk through the doors at 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever time we start in the office, and we seem to have this real disconnect. Nothing seems to quite gel together, and that's what Microsoft are looking at providing, is these solutions, these platforms that allow you to connect with everyone internally and externally, and really have a seamless transition through that student journey in our case here. So those megatrends that Microsoft have identified, of course, we've got our cloud first and our mobile first world. So we want to make sure that you're able to access all of that files and data from anywhere. We want to provision that through mobile devices. We'd love for everyone to have Surface tablets and on Nokia's, the Windows phones. We know that that's not going to be everyone's first choice. So we've made sure that this is going to work across any kind of device and across any kind of browser. That's all a given now, that the development will be done in that way. Microsoft have obviously done data processing for 40 plus years. We've got about 8 billion users worldwide of our solutions. So I think it's safe to say on that top left-hand side, we're pretty good at providing that level of service. And social really made that investment into there. This is where prospective students are. This is their channel of choice. We need to make sure that, yes, we can collaborate socially, internally, but the focus needs to be on that student. We're looking at them as being a client, as being a customer. And of course, we need to make sure that we're servicing them in the way that they want to receive information, receive details. Okay, so scarily, we have all this infinite amount of data, the applications and devices. This is all great. It's a little bit scary. What have we got? We've got a finite amount of time. So much stuff going on, so much noise. How do we focus back in? We're not able to give you additional hours in a day. That'd be fantastic if we could. I think individuals would hate it, but businesses would love it. So what do? We maximize the efficiencies. We give you the tool set in which you can then apply your business process, do some standardization, and make sure that whatever your point A to point B is, you're getting there in the most efficient way. Okay, that's great. That's very high level, but what does that actually mean within an education space? So really, we need to look at what the student journey is. That's got everything from a prospective student all the way through to alumni and beyond. Not neglecting the fact that we have business relationships as well, but if we focus on just the student journey for the time being, okay, that's a complex model, always has been. It's ever changing, but I think where we make that play for the channel shift to the social, we really need to make sure that we're able to tap into that. So as I say, students are your customers. You need to make sure that you're attracting the right people. You need to go and market really in a smart way. These are clever individuals. That's why they're continuing in education. That's why they want to make the best use of that time. So they know what they want to do, or they think they know what they want to do, and they know how to go about getting that information. Or again, they feel that they know where to get that information from, but is it always there? Is it always on Facebook, Twitter, on blog posts, where they're spending most of their time? On YouTube, the amount of YouTube traffic day to day, that's incredible. So we need to make sure that we're tapping into all these different areas. Through that, then, we need to have a really, really smart recruitment process. We need to know who's making those applications, who's making those inquiries, really, really be smart about who we're selecting for that. Yes, we want to maximize the number of people on courses, but we want to get the right caliber of people through the doors. With that, we'll then be able to retain those individuals as they go through their learning experience with us. With a lot of institutions now looking at providing HE courses and actually creating that additional revenue stream, then I think the ability to retain and make real advocates through that couple of years study, and then retain them, keep them in the institution to continue their studies, but at a fee payable to the institution, is probably a great thing to be able to look at. So yeah, as a prospect, we've got 6.8 billion people on mobile devices. I can't stress that enough. The number of people that are tapping in on different devices, on different social networks, means that that's where most of the information needs to be surfaced up. If it's not there, then you'll be missed as an institution. It's quite likely that they won't know about you. Unless you're just down the road, they won't know about what services you provide, why they should go and study at your particular institution. Email's not defunct. We use it quite a lot day to day. I don't think it's going away. But when I ask young people today, so how much do you spend on, how much time do you spend sending emails? And they actually can't remember the last time they checked their email, let alone sent one. It's just not a medium by which they operate. So again, just looking at how this actually works, we want to have, web pages that are capturing all of these details, able then to automate a load of things for them, take them through a drip marketing sort of nurture campaign. So Microsoft provide that through the Dynamics platform, and there is a fully dedicated marketing application and marketing automation suite known as Microsoft Dynamics Marketing. And what that allows you to do, it allows you to do these multi-channel campaigns, events management, prospect scoring. You can really, really start to get a measure of what your marketing teams are providing and what the response rates is like. What's the ROI, or what's the ROMI, return on marketing investment, a big term at the moment, obviously with marketing budgets being bolstered across industry. So we know that HE student numbers are in decline. Enrollments have actually decreased year on year, but on a more positive note, students are actually entering into apprenticeships, and the government has obviously pledged more funding into apprenticeship schemes. So we know that that's a real area of investment. It's another area of focus. There's a skills gap that needs to be plugged. So this is an opportune time for us to get those people in, to start making some of these changes and making sure that we're the institution of choice in that given space. Okay, so what do Microsoft do as this Dynamics platform? What's provisioned? The ability to do full student lifecycle management, to look at the admissions piece and actually start to automate some of those processes, take away the labor-intensive part of that day, and actually do some real effective scoring, so that again you can just focus in on who are the priority people here, who do we want to make sure that we're getting through the door first, putting in that seat and actually getting some great students through, because it's only ever going to be advantageous to have those guys in, go through, and then be advocates on the other side. We provide all of that analytics and BI piece as well, whether you're going to plug that into a dedicated BI tool or use simplified dashboards, which we'll see in a moment on the CRM demonstration itself. There's all of these tools, again, across devices, as you'll see on the screen, just giving us that ability to not be tethered to our desks. Quite often, people will ask me, so how long do you spend at your desk? As little time as possible, actually, because I'm more effective if I'm meeting with people, if I'm networking, if I'm doing actually what it is that makes a positive difference. And I think a lot of people within your teams will feel exactly the same. They don't want to be just at their desk, plugged in on a laptop and on a desktop phone. They want to be able to work in their own way. Okay, so the students themselves and the alumni piece, well, we know that attrition rates are obviously a big focus, because it's very difficult, nigh on impossible, to actually fill those places halfway through a study period. So if you lose someone at the end of year one, you can't fill that position. So we need to make sure that students are engaged, they're getting these great experiences, they're learning, they're going into these apprenticeships, or they're going on to the world of work or further areas of study. When they've had that great experience, they're going to be telling everyone that they know how great it was to study at this particular place. And so that word of mouth is going to spread. You're going to, by the very nature, increase the rapport you have with businesses, and it's sort of that cyclical piece that means that we're going to be effective moving forward. So okay, just recap on that. So give staff the tools to actually deliver that great student experience. Take them from that initial inquiry through applications and enrollment, all the way through to the point at which they eventually leave study and do whatever it is that's their next step in life. We want to house that as a singular view of the student from that point A all the way through. And Microsoft Dynamics CRM gives you the ability to do that, again, through any device, through any web browser. You're always going to be able to access that information. We can start looking at things like knowledge base articles, so that if you've got any particular case or inquiry, then you can start surfacing all of the rich information that you have from there. No one has to be a subject matter expert on that, because the solution itself can start to surface those answers, surface information internally on the system that's relevant too. So just before I hand over to Neil and the risual guys, who'll take you through what this actually looks like, bring it all to life, just to bring it back to Microsoft and our focus and how Satya views this, is that we have this abundance of technology, devices, data. It's all there, but what's scarce is human attention, or that time element. And so it's Dynamics CRM that gives you that ability to really focus in, see what's happening day to day, see what's happening strategically, and make the change. So if you've got any questions for myself, please feel free to tap those in the IM window, or do send me an email or give me a call at any time. More than happy to have some further conversation with you guys for your against your specific requirements and how we could look at taking that forward. But for now, I'll say thank you. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll pass over to Neil. Hello, Neil. Hello.
Hi, can everyone see the screen now? So what we've got here is the general overview of the learner journey through CRM that fits in with the Microsoft overview that Richard's gone through. Is you've got the learner journey through the suspect, prospect, applicant, enroller, current student and alumnus. All of the suspects would start through events, and that would be either through something like an open day for the college or marketing campaigns. These would then become leads into opportunities, and the opportunity would be closed and hopefully won. At the point where the current student is enrolled, you would have all of this information that's recorded against the student, such as course, any apprenticeships, any attendance risks, placements and pre-assessments that they've attended. Through each of the stages, you can control and manage the learner journey to ensure that you've got the right people applying and coming through at the right stages. You can make sure that they can register their course interests and any qualifications that are suitable for their application. You can then go through the pre-assessments for apprenticeships or placements to ensure that they've got the right skill sets that's required for the course that they're applying for. And you're then taking them through the enrolling stage for short courses for attendance for the paperwork, and through to the current student stage. And once they've finished their learner journey, then they become an alumnus of the college. Now what you've got here is you would have the ability for the alumnus to then log on to the web page, onto the portal, review their graduation details and download or take copies of any certificates that they've achieved throughout the life cycle of their course. And then they can also re-register any further interest in further courses, which would then again become leads and go into the opportunities and go through the whole life cycle. Throughout the whole of this learner journey, there will be data maps for data analysis and health and safety modules, which we've designed that do health and safety calculations. And there's also the user portal. Now you'll see the key there is for the contact and for the business contact. So you've got the learner and the business contact that can access the user portal to share documents, upload documents, download documents, have complete control of their experience with yourselves in the college, and to ensure that any documents and any information that they need to pass back to you is controlled through a correct and precise manner that gives you a lot more control on your learner journeys. So if we step through into CRM, we'll just wait for this to load up. So this is the Office 365 portal, and this shows you all of the online collaborations that happens with Microsoft, including social engagement, which is for Twitter and Facebook analysis, SharePoint, and obviously CRM, which is just there. Now, if we go into CRM, there is the dashboard, which is the first point that you would come to, and this is where you can get an immediate snapshot of just the data that's held within CRM. So, for example, here we've got career development by type and company, which shows you the company and what vacancies they currently have within their career development, so apprenticeships, work experience, or placements. And then you've got the expected start dates and actual start dates with a breakdown to ensure that you're getting the pipeline managed as effectively as possible for your team. So if we go into a marketing list, what we've got here is that a marketing list would have happened for an event. On the dashboard for the event, we've had a college open day that's happened. We've got the exact breakdown on return of investment for the registered event, and we know what the costs are, start and end dates. These would then be created into marketing lists, and these lists would then be imported to enable you to split out specific marketing campaigns. For example, a maths marketing campaign, where any students who have come to the college have expressed an interest in doing maths A level, and you can then actually control them through marketing events. These marketing events, you would then send mass emails, ensure that there's feedback from, and ensure you've got your touch points with the career learners, and these would in turn result in a lead. So if you'll see here for the online demo, this is a learner who's interested in mathematics. What you've got is you have the activities and notes screen, which is where you can assign and control the management of other people making contact with Mike. So he was called, there was no answer, you've sent an email. What you've also done is you asked Mike to you sent an email to Mike with the portal logon details, where he can log on and he can upload a copy of his certificates for mathematics GCSE to ensure that he's actually passed, that he is able to take your maths A level. The whole of these forms within CRM and the whole of CRM is completely configurable as to how you want it to look and how you want it to feel. The form layouts, the information, the drop downs can all be controlled however you see fit. So if we then go into say that, yes, that email has been sent to Mike with the portal logon details, Mike can then go onto the portal. So we've got just a very basic college portal. The whole of this portal can be configured with Bootstrap coding so that you get a complete branding across all of your websites. So your college website where people are accessing could have the same branding as your the online portal. And this is where you can have multiple people actually able to log on and ensure that their information is held, and that you've got not just learners logging onto here, but business contacts as well, that they can upload any certificates, for example, their health and safety certificates or any other certificates that may be required. So we'll just put in here that this is the information that Mike's done for his Maths GCSE, and then we'll submit that file. So that file then gets taken from the portal and it will be uploaded into CRM. Now here you've got the whole step of, this is what's called a business process flow within CRM, and you've got a suspect through to a prospect through to an enroller, and this is controlled through specific steps. So as soon as we qualify this lead for Mike Smith, this will then become an opportunity. So he has expressed interest, he's uploaded the right information, and what you've got here is you've got the course details that are added and the qualifications have been added. Now you can go into the Mike Smith information and you can go in here just to go into the contact details, and he is in as a prospective learner as a contact type. And as the screen loads, you'll see that the qualification that he's actually just uploaded is recorded here on this form. and there will also be an attachment. So that's the attachment of the file that we actually put in. So it shows you how the portal and everything is completely online, and you can then manage through the whole process of Mike enrolling onto the required business course that he wants to go on to. Go into the opportunity. So this is the opportunity that we've been working on, and we can go through all of these steps to ensure that we're closing down the opportunity and making sure that Mike's enrolled on the course. He's got the right information that's been provided to him from the college. What you can also do is you'll see that there's the prospect to the enroller. There's also a step that we can include in the business process flow, which is dependent on the type of career development that someone wants to take on. So if they want to do an apprenticeship or a placement or a work experience, you can manage that through accordingly. And as soon as we choose apprentice, then the applicant information suddenly comes in as the next step, which allows you to branch off in different stages for a business process flow, and again control the flow of the opportunity through different businesses and departments as the learner goes through the stages of enrolling onto that course. So you take that through to the next stage, and you've got the applicant. You can do the pre-assessment attendance, and once you've confirmed those, then you go through to the next stage, to the enroller, where an information pack is to be sent, and that completes the whole of the opportunity with closed as one. And you can then go on and ensure that you've got the list of details for Mike enrolling onto this Maths A-level course. If we then go and look at the career development section, so this is career developments. So we've got all of these apprenticeships and work experience and placements that exist. And again, these have been designed with a specific business process flow. And this business process flow ensures that you've got the original initial preparation and information that's recorded for the apprenticeship, that can then be integrated with the NAS website. So here, what you can do is if you choose placement, you'll see that you've got the applicants and the milestones. But if you choose work experience, you've got attendance and milestones. And if you choose apprenticeships, you get a lot more fields here for the apprenticeship information, and you've got the applicants, milestones, and attendance as well. This allows you to then manage the whole of the apprenticeship from within this area. So we'll go through the apprenticeship, and the apprenticeship goes into the next stages for the academic year, and then you can put in applicants. So here you can add in applicants that have applied for the apprenticeship, and from this form you can choose. So here we can click on new applicant. It's our good old friend Mike Smith has applied. So Mike is here. You know which career development he's applied for, and you know what his application status is. Save that information, and then you can add into a pre-assessment. So he can come on to the college, invited to the college to do his pre-assessment prior to going through the apprenticeship recruitment stage. And you can obviously if your process is, some colleges do it differently. They have the pre-assessments at earlier stages, some have it at much later stages. Put all of the information in here, that they've passed their maths, there's no dyslexia, passed their reading, they're not colourblind, no assistance needed through placement, and no disability. However, if you put yes for any of these, hidden fields will appear, so it ensures that you've got mandatory and controlled areas again to make sure that Mike's going through the whole of this process. So that's Mike as the application. So he's gone in for this apprenticeship, and we can then again step through the apprenticeship information for the specific stages of the apprenticeship. Save that. go into the apprenticeship, and then take that through the next stage as well. Oh. And you get through to the applicants that have been added at the applicant stage. You go on to the next stage where you'll finalise the apprenticeship, got the actual start date, and it records. You can record the total number of applicants, suitable applicants, and then you can define who the successful applicant is. Now, if we go into this applicant stage for Mike, if you then change it, you can manage his application status through applied, shortlisted, assessments and interviews to successful and unsuccessful. So if we mark Mike as successful, and then go back into that apprenticeship, and you'll see that Mike has been put in as the successful applicant. Got the successful applicant there, the candidate, and that ensures that the when you're managing the apprenticeship through the next 2 or 3 years for this apprenticeship, you know exactly who's going, what they're dealing with, and you can also ensure that any documents or activities for visits, appointments, any assessments can be done as well. What you've also got recorded against the apprenticeship is the attendance records. And here you can go on and use the portal website as well, where either the business contact or Mike himself can be uploading whether he's on site Monday to Friday, that he's not actually been, he has been attending, and that this is for the business contact may want to fill this out as well, and they can add in any forms and feedback that would again come straight back into this apprenticeship and this control area. Okay. So that's really how you would control for the apprenticeship and the placements, so the career development side. What you've also got here, you can put in attendance risks. So we can say that for Mike, he wants to put in an attendance risk. So sometimes he might turn around and say that he needs to make the college aware of some issues that he might be having. And here you can put in, so this is person logging the risk, and it's the learner as well. And then you've got the course name that he's actually going on. And here you can put in different scoring, severity and an impact. What will happen as soon as that is scored, that will put in a risk rating. And if you say, if he's put in, or someone's put in the attendance risk for a course that comes in as a high, you can have a workflow that automatically notifies the course tutor to advise them that a high risk rating has been created against a specific learner, and they can then manage that through in the relevant areas. Within the education solution as well, you've also got the events dashboard with the sessions and badges, and you can also ensure that you can do event feedback through secondary web pages. We have one set up for event feedback that allows users, when they've attended, to automatically receive an email at the closure of the event, thanking them for attendance to the event, and for them to go online and provide feedback. That then allows you to do some data analysis of the course to see what worked and what didn't, and what you can improve on for the next time. And we've got the general course and information with subjects and waiting lists, and then we've got health and safety with audits. So if we have a look at the health and safety sections, we can go into an active health and safety. So this is recorded against the business. So you've got your health and safety inspectors that can go on prior to an apprenticeship starting. They can go on and do the health and safety assessments. And these are where all the assessments can be recorded as well. What you can also do is you can set these up on the web portal, so that not just the learner can do, not just the college assessor can do the health and safety assessments, but the learner can do an assessment whenever they want to as well. If they suddenly find that they feel there's a risk for their health and safety within the placement that they're doing, they can log those details within the portal. And those again can be done from home or out of office as well. So here's just a very brief one. It's just to show you how it works. You've got different scoring, and you've got different questions, and there's different scoring for each question. So for every answer that's put in here, it gives a different score that's hidden in a calculated field at the end. What you can do is once that's saved, that puts in a risk score and a risk rating. And if we change one of those questions, we'll change down to 26. Let's drop it again, and that score will change down to 22. So this would be a risk rating, and again, any risk rating that's low, medium or high can notify different people and ensure that you've got a true health and safety history that's registered against an agency or against a company. And all of this information can be analysed, and we can change the layouts, change the forms, however you feel is necessary. So that's the education solution, and just a general overview of how it all works. And obviously, as Mark said earlier, if anyone feels that they want to go into detail, don't hesitate to drop Mark an email or myself, and then we can come on and assist where needed. Okay. So I will pass you back to Mark.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank you for that. Fantastic. And you, Richard, before that. So, yes, so let's just finish off.
We have a question
from Richard. Actually, if you could,
Yeah. The question is about the attendance monitoring, and yes, you can set workflows for automatic escalations off the back of this. For example, if a learner is not turning up or turning up late every Monday, then any escalations can be automatically kicked off in a workflow that the same as you can do for any HR, and you can do scoring off of the amount of repetitions and times that someone's not turning up. And yeah, any workflows can be configured around that.
Okay, fine. So, just a final slide for me, really, just to talk about that whole introduction of a new service, training and adoption.
Is a key area to any project.
We deploy, there's a lot of experience in how to
introduce a new service. Even like I said, it's at the IT level, or if it's at the user level, around that whole introduction and adoption. So the managed services has various offerings, various approaches for this. We can work at a workload level, which is around technical support, telephone support for the IT team to help the introduction of that new service, right up to a more of a managed outsource of the complete service if a college or a university doesn't feel they have the immediate skills or capacity to bring on a new service. But I think, as we said at the start of the webcast, this really is potentially just an extension of a existing for the college or the university. They're already a Microsoft house, already have large investments in skills and capability around Microsoft. So introducing Microsoft Dynamics into that environment is potentially a less intrusive decision. And we haven't touched upon today really the power of the integration with Microsoft Link, how that increases the productivity and the collaboration while within that CRM window, and also looking at technologies that are part of the Office 365 platform, things like Power BI regarding surfacing the data from CRM into self-service business intelligence is also a very powerful addition to this CRM subject. So a lot more we can talk about around the value from this decision in Dynamics, but I think Neil has framed that conversation really well this morning around how we use modern-day digital marketing techniques to really make the students feel more inclusive, more part of their own journey, to also assist with capturing maybe a student that maybe took a decision early on, that potentially they might be looking at thinking, well, that may not be right for me, I'd like to do other things. So capturing that student and being able to realign them to maybe a more appropriate course and to keep them through and keep them with the college to finish their education journey, whether that's something different than they started off, is also a very important element in the sector that we're seeing these days. The other element we haven't touched upon today really is the use of Dynamics and CRM in generating new revenue streams for colleges. That's another area that Risual are being asked about. And again, this platform can be used to manage relationships with local business and industry and other facilities to create alternative revenue streams, which again is important to certainly in the FE sector we're seeing today. So again, potentially for another time. So in the last 5 or 6 minutes before we close, can I open the lines maybe for any questions for Richard and Neil? Anything on what you've seen this morning, or maybe potentially something we haven't covered that you'd like to ask? Can I ask if there's any questions, either on the IM window or whether you'd like to talk to us all? Just while we're waiting to see if there's any questions. So while we come on to closing off the event, we have a follow-up session, which is going to be a knowledge share workshop taking place at Risual's offices in Stafford. You'll get details of this following the webcast from the marketing team, but the next stage we see in this is really bringing people together to really go through the solution in a lot more detail, and the work that Risual's already put into really creating the out-of-box features for Dynamics and accelerating that deployment for a college or a university, and potentially reducing that capital expenditure to get a phase 1 implemented. So that is really a little bit of what you've seen this morning, and what we'd like to go through in further detail with, if anybody would like to join us for that next phase. So I think that is all for this morning, unless Richard and Neil, have you got anything else you want to say before we finish?
Nothing from me.
No, I'll just say thanks very much for including us on this morning's session. It was great to obviously have a proper walkthrough of how you guys have done a lot of work on the base platform, to obviously get it to that point. Looks fantastic. Look forward to just some further conversation with yourselves and the guys that have been on the call this morning.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Neil. And like I said, you will be getting a follow-up email with a link to the recording and a contact to the education team within Risual to follow up any further interest you've got, and potentially what we consider as next stages in your evaluation of Dynamics. So unless there's any other questions from anybody, I think we'll close. And thank you very much for your attendance, and look forward to talking to you again.